At 77, Glenn Close is finally opening up about the shocking truths behind her remarkable life. Truths that have been kept hidden from the public eye for far too long. You've admired her on the big screen, but you have no idea of the challenges she faced behind the scenes. A cult, a plane crash, and a career forged through sheer determination. These are just the tip of the iceberg in the incredible journey of one of Hollywood's most talented and resilient actresses. Today, we take a deep dive into what hasn't been told before, shedding light on the choices, risks, and revelations that shaped a career that's anything but ordinary. Born in 1947 in Greenwich, Connecticut, Glenn Close's early life seemed like a fairy tale. Living on her grandfather's sprawling estate, she was surrounded by wealth and New England charm. But beneath the surface, her childhood was far from perfect. Her father, William Taliaferro Close, a respected doctor, worked for the controversial Congolese leader Mobutu Sese Seko, which meant the family was constantly moving between Africa and the United States. This nomadic lifestyle disrupted Glenn's sense of stability, leaving her struggling to form lasting friendships and unable to feel like she truly belonged anywhere. When Glenn was just 7 years old, her life took a drastic turn. Her father became involved with the Moral Rearmament, MRA, a strict religious group that started as an anti-war movement in 1938, but evolved into something Glenn later described as a cult. The MRA was notorious for its rigid rules, controlling not just the beliefs, but the emotions of its members. Growing up in this oppressive environment, Glenn was taught to feel ashamed of natural desires and to distrust her own instincts. It was an upbringing that would leave deep scars, shaping her worldview in ways that only time could reveal. Glenn often recalls the group's leader, a frail old man in a wheelchair with tiny glasses and a hooked nose, with chilling clarity. The MRA was heavily criticized by many, including the Catholic Church, which warned people to avoid joining due to its controversial teachings. But for 15 years, Glenn's world was defined by this suffocating ideology, a world that tried to stifle her individuality and creativity. At 27, Glenn finally broke free. After years of spiritual and emotional restriction, she found a way into the world of professional theater, a daring leap into the unknown that would ultimately set the stage for her legendary career. The decision came during her senior year of college when she boldly called the theater department, asking for help with auditions. This courageous move led to her first professional role in Love for Love, directed by the legendary Hal Prince. Although the show only ran for 24 performances, it was the beginning of a new chapter, one in which Glenn could finally experience freedom and artistic expression. Her theater career took off quickly, with notable roles in productions like Rex, 1976, and The Crucifer of Blood in the late 70s, firmly establishing her as a gifted stage actress. But it wasn't until she was 35 that Glenn made her big leap into film. In 1982, she starred in The World, according to Garp, playing the mother of Robin Williams' character. Despite being only a few years older than Williams, her performance was so compelling that it earned her an Academy Award nomination. This film marked the start of an even more successful chapter in her career, proving that her talent wasn't confined to the stage. In just her first 3 years in Hollywood, Glenn Close earned 3 Oscar nominations, an incredible feat for any actor, let alone one who was still new to the movie industry. From the moment she stepped into Hollywood, she was a force to be reckoned with, a testament to the power of perseverance, talent, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. Her portrayal of a feminist and successful writer with a complicated and emotional relationship with her son in the world, according to Garp, left audiences in awe. The depth and authenticity she brought to the role made it clear that Glenn Close wasn't just another actress. She was an artist capable of making her characters feel real and relatable. Her success in this movie became the catalyst for her transition from Broadway to Hollywood, and in 1983 she landed a role that would further solidify her place in cinematic history. The following year, she starred alongside Robert Redford in The Natural, playing Iris Gaines. Though her screen time was limited, Glenn's ability to make every second count was undeniable. In one particularly powerful hospital scene, her subtle yet expressive performance left audiences deeply moved, earning her yet another Oscar nomination in just her third year in film. The film, a classic in the sports genre, garnered widespread attention and critical acclaim, and Glenn's role remained one of its highlights. However, it was 1987's Fatal Attraction that truly changed the trajectory of Glenn Close's career. The film became a cultural phenomenon, but not without its challenges. Initially, the filmmakers didn't see Glenn as the right fit for the role of Alex Forrest. They had other actresses like Deborah Winger and Barbara Hershey in mind. But Glenn fought hard to prove them wrong. She dove deep into understanding her character, consulting with psychiatrists to explore the psychology of Alex, and even created a detailed backstory for the character. The filming process wasn't without its hurdles. In one intense scene with Michael Douglas, Glenn's character hits her head on a bathroom mirror, resulting in a concussion that landed her in the hospital. During her hospital stay, she discovered she was pregnant with her daughter. Yet she didn't let physical setbacks stand in her way. Another difficult moment came when the filmmakers decided to change the movie's ending. Glenn felt strongly that the new ending turned Alex into a villain, stripping the character of her tragic complexity. For 2 weeks, she argued with the studio, but ultimately, after fellow actor William Hurt persuaded her, she agreed to the change. The new ending, which saw Alex meet a dramatic and fatal fate, resonated with audiences and became a defining moment in the film. Fatal Attraction not only became a box office smash, it also introduced the term bunny boiler into the cultural lexicon, thanks to one shocking scene involving a pet rabbit. The film garnered 6 Oscar nominations, and Glenn Close became an undeniable Hollywood icon, forever associated with one of cinema's most memorable and controversial characters. In 1984, Glenn Close's Broadway journey took another major leap forward with The Real Thing, Tom Stoppard's play at the Plymouth Theater. She played Annie, a woman navigating the complexities of love, marriage, and artistic struggle, while also being involved in an affair. The production boasted an impressive team, including Jeremy Irons as her co-star and the legendary Mike Nichols as the director. Glenn's performance was so compelling and layered that it garnered rave reviews, further establishing her as a powerhouse of both stage and screen. Glenn Close's Broadway career reached new heights when she won her first Tony Award for The Real Thing in 1984, a role that firmly established her as a theatrical powerhouse. The production itself was a monumental success, earning 12 Tony nominations and running for an impressive 566 performances. It was an instant hit, captivating audiences and critics alike. The play also won the Tony and Drama Desk Awards for Outstanding New Play, adding an extra layer of prestige to its already stellar reputation. In 1992, Close dove into a profoundly challenging role in Death and the Maiden, a psychological thriller by Ariel Dorfman. She played Paulina Salas Escobar, a former political prisoner who confronts the man she believes tortured her. The play premiered at the Brooks Atkinson Theater during a particularly competitive Broadway season, and Close's performance was a tour de force. It was raw, emotionally charged, and deeply compelling, showcasing her remarkable range as an actress. That same year, she hosted the 46th Tony Awards at the Gershwin Theater, solidifying her place as one of the greats of the stage. Her performance in Death and the Maiden earned her a second Tony Award for Best Actress in a Play, making her one of the few actresses to win multiple Tonys in the same category. But Glenn Close wasn't just about Broadway. Her ability to captivate on stage translated seamlessly into musical theater, and in 1994 she took on one of her most iconic roles, Norma Desmond in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Sunset Boulevard. The musical, which opened at the Minskoff Theater on November 17, 1994, was a box office sensation, breaking ticket sales records. Glenn's portrayal of the delusional, aging silent film star was unforgettable, bringing a mix of tragedy, madness, and grandeur to the stage. At one point during a preview, Glenn stopped the show to address audience members who were taking flash photos, demonstrating her unwavering commitment to the performance. The production became a landmark success, running for 977 performances before closing in March 1997, and it earned Glenn a third Tony Award, further cementing her place among the elite actors to have won Tony Awards in 3 different decades. In 2017, Glenn returned to the role at the Palace Theater, once again stopping a performance for the same reason, reaffirming her dedication to preserving the magic of live theater. But while her professional life was thriving, Glenn's personal life was far more complex. Her romantic history has been marked by 3 marriages and divorces, each of which left a lasting impact on her. Her first marriage, at the young age of 22, was to Cabot Wade, a musician she met while performing in a musical troupe. This union, which lasted only 2 years, was deeply influenced by her involvement with the Moral Rearmament, MRA group, and Glenn later admitted that it felt more like an arranged marriage than a personal choice. After the marriage ended in 1971, she took time to reflect on her life and attended the College of William and Mary, where she began to discover who she truly was. Her second marriage came years later in 1984 to James Marlis, a businessman with an impressive academic background. James had degrees from Harvard, Oxford, and the University of Chicago, and had founded Union Capital Corporation. Despite his formidable credentials, the marriage also ended in divorce, another chapter in Glenn's complicated love life. Each of these relationships, while brief, played a pivotal role in shaping her journey, personally and professionally. After Glenn's second marriage ended in 1987, she made a pivotal observation about relationships that would shape her future perspective. She realized that many women tend to lose themselves in their partners, and she admitted that, in her own marriages, she often felt as though she had lost her sense of identity. Glenn's ability to reflect on her personal life with such clarity highlighted her resilience and emotional growth. Her third and final marriage took place in 2006 when she married David Evans Shaw, a biotech engineer. They held a small, intimate ceremony in Maine, and their union lasted for 9 years before ending in 2015. The divorce was described as mutual and amicable, with Glenn's publicist clarifying that she had not initiated the separation. Despite the challenges of navigating multiple relationships, Glenn has shown a remarkable capacity for introspection and understanding, particularly about the impact of her childhood on her romantic life. One of the most significant relationships in Glenn's life has been with her daughter, Annie Stark, whom she shares with producer John Stark. Born on April 26, 1988, Annie grew up in Bedford, New York, on the family estate, known as Beanfield. Despite her mother's fame, Annie's childhood was, by all accounts, normal, thanks to Glenn's and John's efforts to keep her grounded. Annie spent much of her time outdoors, enjoying nature and animals, and she stayed close to her high school friends as she grew older. In 2018, she married at the family estate, further cementing her connection to her roots. Annie followed in her mother's footsteps into acting, and the two shared a professional connection that brought them even closer. In The Wife, 2018, Annie played the younger version of Glenn's character. Glenn trusted Annie implicitly with this role, telling her that her performance would shape the entire character's story. This professional collaboration deepened their already strong bond, and Glenn has often referred to Annie as her closest confidant. She values Annie's perspectives and frequently seeks her advice on important matters. Glenn has said that she admires Annie for being fiercer than she is, and that she cherishes the fresh perspective Annie brings into their relationship. In 2019, Glenn made the decision to relocate to Bozeman, Montana, a move that reflected both a change of pace and a desire to be closer to her family. She chose to live on the quirky north side of town, near her sisters Jessie and Tina. This decision was particularly influenced by Jessie, who had been struggling with undiagnosed bipolar disorder for over 5 decades. Jessie's mental health battle had been tumultuous, with manic episodes and deep depression shaping much of her life. Jessie's first psychotic break occurred at age 21, when she saw a disturbing hallucination of herself sitting on her own bed in Washington, D.C. Throughout her life, Jessie grappled with 5 failed marriages, substance abuse, and reckless behaviors that her family misinterpreted as wild or irresponsible. In their affluent Connecticut household, mental illness was not understood, and Jessie's struggles were seen as personal flaws. It wasn't until 2004, at the age of 51, that Jessie was finally diagnosed. By then, she had endured years of torment, including hearing voices that relentlessly told her to end her life. These voices drove her into an intense depression she described as being beyond blackness. Glenn's move to Montana and her support for her sister were indicative of her deep commitment to family, particularly when faced with such a heartbreaking struggle. Her decision to live nearby was a way to offer emotional and practical support to Jessie, who had long suffered in silence. Glenn's journey, marked by both personal and professional triumphs, has also been one of profound empathy and understanding for those she loves. Jessie's journey with mental illness, marked by prolonged periods of intense emotional turmoil, is a testament to the challenges that can arise from untreated mental health conditions. At times, she would stay awake for days, only to crash into deep, overwhelming sadness. Her son, Kalen Pick, also faced severe mental health struggles. Diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, a condition that blends symptoms of schizophrenia and mood disorders, Kalen's life, too, was deeply affected. The shared mental health history in their family highlighted a troubling yet crucial connection. Mental illness was an inherited struggle. Kalen's path to stability was long and difficult. He spent nearly 2 years at McLean Hospital, the same institution featured in the movie Girl, Interrupted. His eventual recovery became a symbol of hope, not just for his family, but for others dealing with similar issues. At first, Jessie blamed herself for Kalen's diagnosis, fearing she had passed on her mental health struggles to him. However, as they both navigated their respective paths to healing, their bond strengthened. Today, Kalen is often the first person Jessie calls when she needs support, and his journey has inspired countless others. In fact, when he shared his story with lawmakers in Washington, it played a pivotal role in reshaping how mental health issues are perceived and supported across the nation. One of Jessie's darkest moments occurred on New Year's Eve in 2001. While her family slept, she found herself on the brink of despair, contemplating suicide. She went to her husband's truck, contemplating using his gun, but something stopped her. The thought of her children and the pain her death would cause them was enough to make her reconsider. It was a fleeting yet profound moment of clarity, a realization that would later serve as a turning point in her life. A few years later, in 2003, Jessie finally opened up to her sister Glenn about her constant suicidal thoughts. This confession marked the beginning of a new chapter for Jessie. Within a week, she was admitted to McLean Hospital in Boston, where she received the treatment she so desperately needed. Glenn later admitted that, at the time, she feared she was on the verge of losing her sister, knowing how often those with bipolar disorder tragically succumb to suicide. The mental health struggles that plagued the close family weren't an isolated issue. Their mother's side of the family carried a clear, though painful, pattern of mental illness. Glenn's mother's uncle had schizophrenia, a half-uncle died by suicide, and their grandmother struggled with depression. Their mother, who was often described as a mosaic of different traits, passed down the genetic risk for mental illness, which ultimately affected Jesse and later Kaylin. This generational burden weighed heavily on Glenn, who realized that something needed to be done, not just for her family, but for the wider community. In 2010, Glenn took a monumental step in her advocacy by co-founding Bring Change to Mind, BC2M, an organization dedicated to breaking the stigma surrounding mental health. BC2M has become a beacon of hope for many, raising awareness and driving meaningful change. The group's impact has been substantial, creating 7 public service announcements that have reached over 4 billion people. These PSAs focus on reducing the stigma surrounding mental illness and fostering a deeper understanding of its complexities. BC2M doesn't just rely on guesswork. They partner with top scientists to ensure their programs are effective, making sure their efforts are rooted in real research and data. What began as a small idea has now blossomed into a national movement, with BC2M running creative campaigns, hosting major events like Rebels and Revelations, and continuing to reach millions with its message of support, empathy, and understanding. Glenn's dedication to the cause has been unwavering, and through her tireless efforts, she is helping to transform the conversation about mental health across the nation. BC2M's impact continues to grow, and one of its most exciting events is the Rebels and Revelations Gala, which brings together stars, advocates, and supporters from all walks of life. In 2024, actress Amy Poehler will receive a special award for spreading joy and hope through her own work. The organization is rooted in science, ensuring that everything they do is backed by the latest research, so people can trust the resources they offer. One of the most impressive aspects of BC2M is its educational programs, which have evolved significantly since their inception. What started in 2015 with just 25 schools in the San Francisco Bay Area has now expanded to over 540 schools in 43 states, reaching more than 100,000 students. Schools that participate in the program receive a wide range of invaluable support to help foster mental health awareness and advocacy among students. For starters, each participating school is awarded a $500 grant that can be used for organizing various mental health-related activities and initiatives. Additionally, students gain free access to the Headspace meditation app, which offers resources designed to enhance mindfulness and well-being. On top of this, schools are granted access to a comprehensive online portal filled with valuable materials, including educational resources, discussion guides, and more. This rich support system is designed to equip students with the tools they need to not only understand mental health better, but also to make a positive impact in their communities. The program's effectiveness is already being felt across the country. One of the most notable outcomes so far is that over 61.5% of graduating seniors who have been involved in the program have expressed an interest in pursuing careers in mental health-related fields. This statistic speaks volumes about the program's ability to inspire the next generation of mental health professionals and advocates. BC2M, Bring Change to Mind, doesn't just launch these initiatives and hope for the best. They take a meticulous and data-driven approach to evaluating the impact of their work. The organization has conducted 52 in-depth group discussions with student leaders and gathered extensive feedback through detailed surveys to measure the success and reach of the program. The results of these assessments have been overwhelmingly positive, with students reporting a deeper understanding of mental health and a noticeable shift in the way they think about mental health issues. It's clear that the program is achieving its goal of normalizing conversations around mental health and reducing the stigma associated with it. Meanwhile, Glenn Close's transition to television in 2005 marked a pivotal shift in her illustrious career. At the time, she had already established herself as one of Hollywood's top talents, but her role in The Shield would set in motion a career-defining moment. While working on The Shield, Glenn had a casual conversation with FX executive John Landgraf, during which she mentioned, If you ever think of something in New York, let me know. Less than a year later, that conversation would lead to her being offered the role of Patty Hughes in the legal drama Damages. The series, which aired from 2007 to 2012, became a hit, captivating audiences with its non-linear storytelling, complex characters, and intense legal drama. Glenn's portrayal of Patty, a tough and morally ambiguous lawyer, earned her widespread praise and multiple award nominations. The show also boasted an incredible cast, including Ted Danson, William Hurt, Martin Short, and John Goodman, all of whom contributed to its critical acclaim. After Damages, Glenn Close returned to film, showcasing her versatility as an actress in two major projects. In 2011, she starred in Albert Nobbs, where she portrayed a woman in 19th century Ireland who disguises herself as a man in order to work as a butler. Glenn's performance in this role was nothing short of exceptional, as she brought depth and nuance to a character struggling with identity and survival. In addition to acting, Glenn also co-wrote the screenplay and contributed an original song to the film. This was not the first time Glenn had played this role. She had previously portrayed the character on stage, earning an Obie Award for her performance. Glenn's next significant film was The Wife, 2017, where she played Joan Castleman, a woman coming to terms with the choices she's made in her life while accompanying her husband to Stockholm, where he is receiving the Nobel Prize in Literature. Glenn's subtle yet powerful portrayal of Joan earned her numerous prestigious accolades, including a Golden Globe, a Screen Actors Guild Award, an Independent Spirit Award, and a Critics' Choice Movie Award. She was also nominated for an Academy Award and a BAFTA, further solidifying her standing as one of Hollywood's most respected and talented actresses. Currently, Glenn Close is working on a highly anticipated new project for Netflix, Remarkably Bright Creatures, based on the best-selling novel by Shelby Van Pelt. The film tells the heartwarming and unconventional story of a widow who forms an unexpected bond with a giant Pacific octopus while working as an aquarium janitor. Directed by Olivia Newman, Remarkably Bright Creatures stars Sally Field in the lead role alongside Glenn, who plays a key supporting part. This project follows in the footsteps of Netflix's successful My Octopus Teacher, a documentary that captivated audiences with its emotional portrayal of the bond between a man and an octopus. Glenn's involvement in this new project is a testament to her continued ability to choose deeply emotional, character-driven stories that resonate with viewers on a profound level. As Glenn Close's career continues to evolve, one thing is abundantly clear. She remains deeply committed to telling stories that matter. Whether she's acting, producing, or using her platform for advocacy, Glenn has spent her career using her talents to make a real difference in the world. Her ability to choose roles that not only entertain but also challenge and inspire demonstrates why she remains one of Hollywood's most beloved and respected figures. Through her ongoing dedication to meaningful storytelling and her advocacy work, Glenn continues to show that the most impactful roles are those that touch hearts and change lives.